Everybody tells you it's never too late to start over. Nobody tells you why it feels impossible. Here's the part they skip. It's not that you don't want to change, it's that your brain is actively fighting the restart. There's a specific reason the fresh start feels fake. And there's a 2,000-year-old story that figured out the fix before we had a word for it. So let me show you what's actually happening when you try to become someone new, and why the thing that finally works isn't motivation. We are the most self-improvement obsessed generation in history. The personal development industry is worth over $40 billion. There are more books, more apps, more 5 a.m. routines, more new me plans than ever, and people feel more stuck than ever. Studies on New Year's resolutions put the failure rate somewhere around 90%. Most people quit by the second week of January. You know the app you downloaded on January 1st and haven't opened since? That one. We all have that one. And we blame ourselves. We go, I'm just lazy. I have no discipline. I always do this. But that story, I always do this, that's not a character flaw. That's the actual mechanism keeping you stuck. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. There's a story about a guy who failed worse than you probably ever have. Doesn't matter if you grew up in church or you've never opened a Bible in your life. Stay with me, because this isn't a sermon. This is a case study. The guy's name is Peter. He spent 3 years following a teacher he was completely convinced was the real thing. Told everyone. Built his whole identity around it. Said in front of people, I'll die before I leave you. And then the night it got hard, somebody asked if he knew the guy, and Peter said no. 3 times. Cursed. Swore he'd never even met him. Then his teacher was killed. So now picture where Peter is. He didn't just lose his friend. He lost the version of himself he'd been building for 3 years. In one night, he became the guy who talks big and folds. That's the starting line for one of the cleanest psychological turnarounds ever recorded. Let's walk through it. The story picks up in a book called John chapter 21. 3 movements. Watch what actually happens. Movement 1. Peter goes back to fishing. That's it. That's the first thing the broken man does. He goes back to the exact job he had before any of it started. The text just says it flat. Peter says, I'm going out to fish, and the others go with him. Hold on to that, because it's not a random detail. He retreats to the old identity, the safe one, the one from before he tried to be more. Movement 2. Jesus shows up on the shore and makes breakfast. He doesn't open with the failure. He doesn't say, so about that whole denial thing. He cooks. He hands Peter food. The text says he'd already got a fire going with fish on it and bread. The reunion starts with a meal, not a lecture. Nobody's getting yelled at. Movement 3. Then Jesus asks him one question, 3 times. Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? 3 questions to match 3 denials. And every time Peter says yes, Jesus gives him a job to do. Feed my sheep. Not we'll see. Not prove it first. A role. Immediately. The text even says Peter got hurt that he asked a 3rd time. It stung, but that's the point. Each yes was overriding a specific no. 3 failures. 3 restatements. A new job on the other side. That's the whole architecture. Now here's why it works. And I mean literally in your brain. 3 connections. This is where it gets good. 1. Your brain is not finished. For most of the last century, science believed the adult brain was basically fixed. You are who you are, wiring set, good luck. That's wrong. The term is neuroplasticity. Your brain physically rewires itself based on what you repeatedly do and think. New connections form. Old ones weaken from disuse. This is measurable, it's in the research, it happens at any age. So when Peter's whole identity collapses, the story isn't naive for suggesting he can become someone new. It's ahead of its time. The restart is biologically real. The man who folded is not a permanent setting. 2. Memories can be rewritten, but only when they're reopened. There's a process called memory reconsolidation. When you recall a memory, it doesn't just play back like a video. It becomes briefly editable, chemically unstable, and then it resaves. And whatever emotional state you're in while it's open gets baked into the new save. Now look at what Jesus does. He doesn't let Peter avoid the memory. 3 questions force Peter to reopen the exact wound, the 3 denials, but this time in a completely different emotional state. Safe, fed, wanted, chosen anyway. He's not making Peter relive it to punish him. He's making him reopen it so it can resave with a different ending. That is textbook reconsolidation, done on a beach 70 generations before we had the term. 3. Shame and guilt are not the same thing, and only one of them lets you restart. This is the big one. Researchers who study this, like Brené Brown and others, draw a hard line. Guilt says, I did a bad thing. Shame says, I am a bad thing. Guilt is about behavior, and it actually motivates change. You can fix a behavior. Shame is about identity, and it does the opposite. It freezes you. When your brain decides the self is the problem, the threat system, the amygdala, treats it like danger, and you shut down, hide, or run back to something safe. Run back to something safe, like, say, your old job, like fishing. Peter walked onto that beach in shame. I am the guy who denied him. And every question quietly moved him from shame back to guilt. Not, you're worthless, just, do you love me? Then here's your work. Behavior, not identity. That's the switch that lets a human being start again. Okay, 3 moves you can actually use. Straight from the story, grounded in the science. 1. Separate the act from the self. Catch the sentence. I always do this. I'm just someone who quits. That's shame talking, and shame is glue. It holds you in place. Change the grammar, not I'm lazy. I skipped the gym twice, not I'm a failure. That plan failed. You're moving it from identity back to behavior, from the thing you can't change to the thing you can. Peter had to stop being the man who denied and go back to being a man who did a thing on a bad night. 2. Do the smallest next real action, not the whole new life, the next 15 minutes. There's a principle in behavioral psychology, behavioral activation, where action comes before motivation, not after. You don't wait to feel like a new person and then act. You take one small action, and the identity follows the evidence. Jesus didn't give Peter a 5-year plan. He gave him one job for that afternoon. Feed my sheep. Something to do today. Your restart is one small, boring, doable action, done now before you feel ready. 3. Say the new story out loud. Peter had to say, yes, I love you, 3 times, out loud, to a real person. Not think it, say it. There's real weight to this. Verbalizing a commitment to another human raises follow-through. It's why support groups and workout partners and telling one trusted friend actually moves the needle. Spoken, witnessed words hit different than the ones that stay in your head. So don't just privately decide to start over. Tell one person, out loud. Here's what I'm doing now. Let it be witnessed. Here's the part that stays with me. The story never erases what Peter did. It's right there, permanent in the text. He's still the guy who denied. That page never gets torn out. Starting over was never about deleting the old version of you. Peter didn't get amnesia. He got a second identity built on top of the first one. The failure still visible underneath, load-bearing. Maybe that's the thing nobody tells you. You don't start over by becoming someone who never fell. You start over by becoming someone who fell and got up anyway, and let it change what he did with the rest of the morning. So the question isn't whether you can undo it. The question is what you feed now. If this reframed anything for you, send it to the one person you know who's trying to start something again and can't quite get off the ground. That's the whole point of this channel. Stuff that actually helps. And if you want the other side of this,